So there's been a couple times that you've opened up an episode by telling me that you have a bone to pick. So
with you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So my turn.
I don't remember picking.
It was at least once. Yep. I don't remember what it was about, but that is what you said.
Okay.
So on today of all days, Father's Day.
Yeah.
You were putting up some new shelves in the kitchen.
You're welcome.
Yep. They look great. However, you did that wearing some bullshit sneaker that was not your dad's shoe.
Well,
what the hell?
Okay. I was wearing my Oscar the Grouch t-shirt.
Uh-huh.
And I needed my shoes to match. And the dad shoes, I should say the old dad shoes, don't match.
The
new
matter.
dad shoes
That's coming
on the way match.
Uh-huh. But that's part of the look, is to have the shoes not match the outfit. It's not supposed to matter.
Whatever.
Anyway, you want to redeem yourself with a dad joke to open up the show?
Sure.
Go for it.
I was thinking about getting a new job. As a mirror cleaner. Yeah, I can really see myself doing it.
You're going to have to add in a ba-dum-tsh.
No. Opening of the seltzer is good enough.
Yeah. All right. That was good. So, welcome to While She's Napping. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Adam.
And since it's Father's Day, I'm going to give Adam a break, and I'm going to go through all the intros and everything. If you're a new listener, you won't even notice. But if you are new, welcome. Thank you for joining us on our special Father's Day episode. And I want to wish a happy Father's Day to you, Adam, and also to my dad. If you are not a new listener, thank you for coming back. We really appreciate all the support that we've had so far. We had some great feedback on last week's episode, which we thought was a little bit of a sensitive subject. But we had several people reach out and express their opinions and views on that topic and respond to the poll we posted about public and private schools. So that was a really great conversation. So thanks for everybody who participated in that. You want to go through your little analytics?
Sure. Yeah. That was good.
You've got that in your back pocket.
Well, sure. Anyways, if you're listening to this for the first time, as Cindy said, welcome. We want to thank everybody that has been listening up until this point from all around the world. We'd like to thank people from the United States, Canada, Australia, Spain, the UK, Greece, and Romania. Shout out to fucking Romania. What's up? Within the United States, there are Rhode Island, Massachusetts, California, Florida, New Hampshire, Louisiana, Connecticut, Virginia, Ohio, New York, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, New Mexico, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, and of course, parts unknown.
I couldn't take that part away from you. I know you love it.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So if you haven't yet, please remember to rate and review us on Apple Podcast. 5 stars and a quick review goes a long way to help us out and increase our listenership. If you are listening on a different podcast platform, we are on Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube.
We are on the YouTube.
If the platform where you listen has a rating system, please go ahead and use it. And you can also leave us a review. If that's not an option on the platform where you're listening, you can leave us a review on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/whileshe'snapping. We're also on Twitter at She's Napping Pod. We also have Instagram. However that's set up, Instagram.com.
Well, just at while
she's napping.
Yeah.
You can tell that I'm still getting used to the whole social media thing, but I'm working on it. And if you would like to send us a message with some anonymity.
Anonymity?
Is that a word?
Anonymity. While she's napping at gmail.com. Anonymity. Anonymity.
I started to say anonymous, and that's
my
just
wife,
how it came out.
Ladies and gentlemen. Anonymity.
Anyway, all of your feedback is always welcome and appreciated. So,
hold on. Before we go, I just do want to give a special shout out to literally everybody that has been helping along the way with the success of this show. It's still in its roots. It still has room to grow, as would be expected when it comes to a podcast that has just started. But special shout out to all of our friends and family and the new listeners that I have interacted with on Reddit. Primarily, that is phenomenal that the outreach is working and you guys are enjoying the content. So I really appreciate the kind words. I really appreciate the feedback, and keep it going. If you guys like what you hear, word of mouth is absolutely crucial when it comes to growing a podcast or really anything that you're passionate about. So if you like what you hear and you think other people will like it too, by all means, let them know. And today's episode is probably going to be something that a lot of people can relate to. So I encourage you guys that, all your fellow dad friends out there, maybe they want to listen to a dad podcast after Father's Day. So this is the one that I'd recommend. Also, it should be noted that from now on, we are going to be releasing each episode Monday morning. The reason for doing that is it gives you a nice little thing to listen to start your week. We can have some consistency when it comes to the release of our podcast. Usually we would release it either randomly on a Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, or a Sunday night. Let's just keep it simple. So, every Monday morning, I'm thinking of uploading them at 6 a.m. Eastern time. So they'll be in your feed after that point. So just so everyone knows, we're not ditching the podcast for the weekends. We are recording them on the weekends, but when it comes to upload, Monday mornings, that's when you can see it.
Cool. So you're going to be sleeping in and then posting it at 6 a.m.
No,
You'll all have already been up for like 2 hours at that point.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to schedule it
I know.
for Monday morning.
It's just funny that it's early for everybody else, but for you,
it's late.
Late in the day.
Yes.
All right. So today we're going to kind of revisit a similar format that we did for the Mother's Day episode. But that was we approached that with like the thought experiment of reflecting on our past selves, right?
We celebrated Mother's Day. The past selves was for your birthday.
That was the same weekend.
Mm-mm. We did the past selves before for your birthday.
Oh, you're right. You did years. Yeah, okay. You're right. That's all blending together for me. Okay. So.
I gotta say, this was great not having to do shit for this podcast this week. I'm not prepared for anything.
Yeah. So maybe I'll put you on the spot a couple times. I don't know. So this might be a little bit more of like an interview style. I haven't shared my questions with Adam ahead of time. So we'll see what you come up with.
Honesty. That's what I'll give you.
So I want to talk a little bit. With Father's Day, I want to talk about both how things have been for you as a dad of a young child who just turned 2. But then I think it would be hard not to touch on some of the things we did in the Mother's Day episode about how our parents have influenced us.
Sure.
So a little bit about how it was for you growing up and your relationship with your dad and some of the things that you think you've gained from him.
Sure.
So let's start with that. Let's start with what do you think? So I asked you about on Mother's Day, did you marry your mom? So I'm curious in what ways you think you're like your dad.
Well, this is not a married question.
It's not the same question.
How saying am I like my dad?
Yeah. Like,
as a dad or as a person?
As a dad.
I love Sesame Street, watching Sesame Street with my kid. I want my kid to have everything, every opportunity available to her. And I think my dad was much the same way when it came to his kids. He wanted his kids to have everything, even if that meant he had nothing. And I'm in a similar boat that, I don't like knowing that my kid, and she's not, but I don't like knowing that she even would be without. I like the security of knowing that we are providing for her as best as possible, literally as best as we can. And my dad was no different. So, in a way, since she was born, my outlook on how I operated doing things has shifted from a very selfish, I got to do this for me kind of thing before she was born. And now it's more, I have to do everything for my daughter. So in other words, I still do the same stuff, but now it's sort of at a different approach, right? So we can talk about working out. Like we did a whole episode about working out.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's, I have to be in shape so I can play with her. So she's not outrunning me.
Mm-hmm.
I can run with her and I'm not winded. I need to stay in shape so I can be alpha as fuck if something happens and like I'm there to protect her. You know, I have to, the whole shift in mentality, being disciplined, being working for something, never quitting at something, always embracing opportunities, much like this podcast. It's to sort of have that sort of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? She can admire it. She can look up to it. She can follow in that.
Role model.
Yeah, I can be a role model in that way, that don't quit at anything. No matter, even if it seems like you're running in quicksand, don't quit, because eventually you'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, how am I like my dad? My dad was all about his kids. So in that respect, everything I do is sort of geared towards my daughter. Like, even driving to work,
right?
It's like you can't be reckless anymore. Not that I was before, but at times before I might be going 75 and a 65. Now I'm like, no, you gotta kind of pump the brakes because you need to stay alive.
Precious cargo.
Yeah.
I hear that. I'm the same way when it comes to driving and thinking twice about.
But even if
decision.
I'm alone.
Yeah. Right. It's a completely new layer.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. So do you think one thing we've talked about when it comes to holidays and things like that is how you grew up with gift giving being like intense and like the huge thing. And it was for me in some aspects on certain holidays, and I have very specific memories of certain times that like it was just like mind blowing. We got like this awesome gift. But for you guys, it was kind of like your Easter, your Christmases, your birthdays. It was
Easter
like your
is
parents
diet
went
Christmas.
Yeah, your parents went all out for and I know that your mom is a fantastic gift giver too, but I know that a lot of that when you were younger was your dad was always super excited about that.
Yes.
So I'm curious just to know, when it comes to now you as a parent, what do you think about that in terms of risking spoiling? Do you think that rises to, because there have been times where you've told me that you think I'm spoiling her. Yeah. Do you want to spoil her, or do you think she's not spoiled because do you think we balance it out with other things?
Yes. I don't think she's spoiled in the aspect of her personality. And so there's a difference. There's giving our child a lot, like making sure she has a lot of, things to occupy her time. She's entertained, and they're also educational.
Right. Her development. Yeah.
I think we do a good job balancing that out, having toys and having educational things. At the same time, being spoiled, you can look at it in a different way and saying this person assumes that the world is just given to him or her. This person assumes that you don't have to work for anything. In that respect, I don't want to spoil her. I don't want her to be spoiled, and I don't think she has been, and I don't think she will be. Because with these things, or these toys, or this stuff, let's call it what it is, that she gets as a child, it's not going to come in large quantities. But if she's doing well in school, if she's paying attention and getting good grades, and she's just an overall good child, which I think she will be, I hope she will be, I think there is something to be said of acknowledging that and saying, hey, we want you to be happy. You deserve to be happy. You work hard. You're not of the age at this point where you can have a job. I'm going to take care of you just as long as you abide by your other end of the contract, quote unquote, of being
behavioral.
Good, being a good student, being a good person, and making sure like you're not starting shit. No, I'm not worried about spoiling her.
Okay. I just know it's a conversation we've had back and forth about trying to make sure it's balanced.
Yeah, I think I should clarify in regards to that. Her attitude is not that of a spoiled person. I don't know that you can be at 2.
I mean, 2-year-olds have tantrums, and but that's normal part of their development and behavior. My
goal is for her to know what it takes to be able to get what you want. Right? It's supposed to be this sort of example for her to say, hey, mommy and daddy work really hard. We work long hours in our jobs. We dedicate ourselves to our jobs. We both work full time. We try our best to provide for you. This stuff just isn't appearing.
Right.
out of thin
Right.
air. We're earning it for you.
Are you going to say money doesn't grow on trees,
No, no, I won't say
Just
that.
bringing it back to the classic dad-isms.
No.
I've heard that many times.
I will emphasize that you have to earn it. You have
Right.
to earn what you want. And if before the age that she can work, earning it is being a good student,
Right.
being a good kid,
Yep.
and you're doing what you got to do.
Well, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
So, in the spirit of continuing sort of the reflection here in the first half of the show, to date over the last 2 years, what is your fondest memory so far? Like, what has been your favorite thing as a dad in the last 2 years?
Like fun time or sentimental time?
Either one. Your fondest memory. I know it's going to be hard to choose, but try.
Like what I always look back on when I think
Like your fondest memory, your favorite thing to think about, like your favorite moment.
when I first held her.
The first when she was born.
Yeah. I'm going to get emotional.
I know.
She, like when we talked about how we're going to hold our child for the first time. And I remember we went to the birthing classes and the instructor said for the mom, the warm spot is right in the middle of the chest.
Mm-hmm.
For the father, it's not as warm, but it's right at the Adam's apple. So we made the decision to go skin to skin. So I said, okay, yeah, I don't mind taking my shirt off and holding. It's my child. But I do remember holding her for the first time, and it was the most overwhelming yin and yang experience that I've ever had. It was like, I will fuck anybody up for you. But it was also, I am the biggest pussy in this moment right now because a child that's minutes old does not even know that I am submitting to everything that you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. And it was just like that overwhelming rush of, enragement and lioness, kind of like, I will protect you. I promise you I will protect you. But I love you so much right now. Like, I am melting because of you. And that's how I felt. And it was a crazy human experience. It was a crazy sense of conflicting emotions coming together that I've never really experienced that before. And that's where I think in that moment, and that's not sort of unusual that as a father, you don't, get the gravity of that experience as a dad in that moment. I think that's typical for a lot of dads when you hold your child for the first time, this tiny thing. But for me, that's when it clicked and I'm like, I'm a dad. Like,
Yeah.
I am a father right now, not just a dad. I'll be a dad when she's a teenager. I'll be a dad when she's even before then, when she's, a child.
Right.
But as a baby, I'm a father in that moment. And that is when it clicked that I am no longer a kid myself. In my own respect, I sort of am.
In your Oscar t-shirt
Yeah,
over here.
yeah. But as a man, it was, okay. Like, I know what it's like now to want to protect someone so much that you will do anything. And remember when we watched Ozark, that whole thing, the whole season, the whole show, actually, when Marty said the first thing he thought of when he held his daughter was, you cannot die. And that is the play. You never are allowed to die. Right. But no one's relying on you before you have a child. Now someone needs you.
Entirely.
You cannot die. You can't. And that is like very sort of eye-opening when you reflect on all the shit that you did when you were a kid. Not that it was super dangerous, but there is a sense of recklessness and carelessness that you go about your day when you're a teenager or in your 20s or whatever. And when you have a child at 32, like I did, it's sort of, whoa, like I can't do the same stuff anymore.
Right. Well, I think that's really well said. I think that's something that I have heard before of that, how it's different for moms and dads when, because the woman, she goes through the whole pregnancy of having this like 9 months of feeling connected to their baby in a way that the father can never experience.
Right.
And it's like this gradual throughout the whole pregnancy of like this gradual connection and love growing along with the baby. And it's still not comparable to how you feel when the baby is born and you hold them for the first time. But I think that's the first opportunity for a dad to feel physically connected
Yes.
to the child,
Yes.
which is different than how it is for the
Yeah,
for the mom.
I bawled.
I know. Yeah.
Because it's that rush of emotion, those conflicting emotions, and you're just like, what do I do? What do I do? So holding this tiny thing, I changed her first diaper. I cut the cord. I was standing next to you in shock when you gave birth to her and seeing her for the first time, her little cone head. It's just, it was overwhelming. So that's the emotional side. The more fun times that I can call back to was this past season, football season. I think it was in September. I'm a huge Bills fan, and I made it a point that, for me, we had an episode about gender roles a while back, but for me, I don't care if I have a son or a daughter. I'm going to watch sports with my child. I think that's important. I think it's important to, not only does it show dedication to a team no matter what, and like my father did for me, but it's also it's exemplifying teamwork on television through and through, unless you're watching tennis, or golf. Or NASCAR. But I remember watching the Bills with her the first day, and I had carrot sticks with hummus, and she had veggie straws. And we were both dipping. I'm getting emotional. We were both dipping our foods in the hummus. And we were both dipping our food into the hummus, and I was thinking to myself, that's my buddy. Like, I have a buddy.
Yeah, you were little buddies on the couch that day. Yeah. I still remember that. I took a video of that.
We have a video of it. That's when she became, obviously she was my child before this, but that was my playmate. That was my buddy.
Yeah, and that's right. That was in the fall. So she was a little over a year old, maybe like 15 or 16 months old at that point. And that's when she really started to get into toddlerhood of, running around and playing and having that like more active interaction with you, in particular. So I remember that too.
And
that
she
was a great moment.
She stayed on the couch.
Oh yeah, she was totally enamored by you, and she was imitating you. She was looking up at you doing your carrot sticks, and you basically taught her how to dip her hummus that day. Although she still prefers to just scoop it in with two hands and shovel it in her mouth. But she does know how to dip things in the hummus.
Yeah. When she wants to.
Right, exactly. So those were your fondest memories. You did one more sentimental, one that was supposed to be more fun, which turned sentimental too. Yeah. But so that being said, now I'm curious to know what the hardest thing has been for you over the last 2 years. We reflected a lot on kind of the newborn stage and how tough that was for me as a new mom, and how I don't fall into the camp of those who long for the newborn stage once they reach toddlerhood. And I thought that very beginning phase was really hard. So I'm curious to hear from your perspective, having not been necessarily dealing with exactly the same challenges that I was, but, dealing with it in your own way. What has been the hardest thing for you over the last 2 years since she's been born?
When it comes to being a dad, or life as a dad?
As a dad.
Patience. She has tested my patience more than my patience has been tested my entire life. And I think that's because I've never had sort of experiences with a 2-year-old before. This is, other than my goddaughter, I've never really had to hang out with the 2-year-old all the time. And it's not like I have to hang out with my goddaughter. I don't want to make it sound like a chore or anything. It's not. It's now I know what it's like to, be I don't know what's the word, like playing with a 2-year-old, living with a 2-year-old. It's
exhausting.
It's very
it's
frustrating.
Amazing and fun and exhausting.
But little things like she'll take her water cup and she'll purposely just spill it on the table.
Yeah.
And I'll say, "What are you doing?" And then she'll do it faster.
Yeah. Try to get it all out of the cup before we stop her.
And I'm saying to myself, "What are you doing?" And for me,
she's being 2.
yes, I have to remind myself that logic is sort of out the window. It's not logical to try to reason with a 2-year-old. She's
to
2.
some extent.
She's 2. She understands basic concepts and stuff, but I can't say to her, "Listen, if you pour the water on this table, it's going to have water damage, and you can't do that because this causes a lot of money, and that means mom and dad are going to have to buy a new kitchen table, which then puts money out of the savings that help make it." You can't go down the road.
No, but you can simplify it and explain why it's
explanations.
not okay to do that.
Of course. It's just, I guess in that aspect, it has tested my patience, and it has made me more patient with other things, believe it or not. So when I talk to my friends or whatever, and if I'm getting frustrated, I'm sort of taking the high road now and saying it's not even worth it. I deal with a 2-year-old all the time, and this is silly. And just the things that she does too, it's silly, whatever. Yeah. So it's made me definitely have to test my patience and to sort of reevaluate what it means to take a breath and step back.
So do you fall into the camp of thinking that this stage of toddlerhood is more challenging than the newborn?
Like terrible twos?
Just in general, like I was saying, a lot of people, they feel like the newborn phase and early on is hard, but then when they get to this age and they start moving into toddlerhood, they long for the newborn phase where all they did was sleep and eat, and they didn't challenge you in that sort of a way. But so where do you think that this is harder or more challenging for you than the newborn phase was?
No. Oh, yes. Okay. And I'm sure there are listeners out there that are going to either be like, "Yup, typical husband." I didn't have to do much when she was a baby because she only wanted you.
Yeah, it's challenging in a different way. It's different set of challenges. Like we weren't dealing with her being rebellious or tantrums or pouring her water and making a mess.
A contributed effort now, and not to say that I was an absent dad when she was a baby. It's just you were nursing her.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And
I know.
We had this discussion of, well, someone would respond rather, we'll just give her a bottle. Well, at that point, okay, but my wife still has to pump at that point. So you're still up. Right.
Well, eventually we worked it out every now and then when I just desperately needed like more than 2 or 3 hours of sleep.
It was harder on you than it was for me.
But you always left it to me. It was my choice. It was like, do you want to sleep for 5 hours or 6 hours and get up and pump and I'll give her a bottle whenever in that time she needs it. So yeah, I think you handled that the best way that you could. I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Right. And now, so there's a difference because in toddlerhood, now I'm being a parent. I am parenting right now. Mm-hmm. Whereas when she's a baby, you're caretaking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to be, you can sort of lead her in the direction of right and wrong and sort of have these primitive rudimentary concepts of right and wrong. Like, no, we don't do that when you're 5 months old. Not that she's really doing anything destructive or bad or anything.
Right.
It's sort of, whatever. But now I have to be a parent, and I want to be a parent. Like, obviously, we're in this boat. Now I have to set an example. I have to. There's more of a try aspect and effort, to how she is now compared to what she was as a baby.
Yeah, when I think of it that way, that's true. It's like it's a little bit more complicated now. Like you have to actively choose how you're going to respond to a certain situation or a certain behavior and how you want to lead her and teach her and all of that. So I do think that takes more maybe like, mental energy to think through each choice in each situation. Maybe when she was a newborn in that stage, it's more straightforward and like you have to just attend to her needs. Like when she cries, you got to go get her, figure out if she's hungry, dirty, tired, whatever the case might be.
It's just pure emotion. It's not connected to anything. She's
right.
just,
It's not quite like parenting yet. You know,
it's not
just
parenting,
it's caretaking.
It's caretaking.
Yeah.
And that's not minimizing anything
Right.
as
So for
parents,
me,
as you know, taking care of babies. That's not taking anything away. You still are a parent, of course,
right.
but you're not parenting.
And that's what I was going to say, is that I feel like for me, that caretaking, it was just more demanding. It was very physically demanding. It was exhausting. It was just hard for for its own set of reasons. This is challenging in its own way.
It's more challenging, I feel. For me. No, I can't speak for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's comparable. Like, it's challenging in the way that I just described, of having to like actually think about how I'm responding to the situation, and, you know, and even projecting forward. Things are going to keep changing as she gets older. We're going to have to start navigating parenting through things like bullying, or, you know, any host of teenage challenges that are bound to come our way. But it's challenging in a different way. For me, the newborn phase was just so hard. I don't know how else to explain it.
I think now, as she's, you know, entering toddlerhood, and she'll be here for quite a while, there's a symbiotic relationship that wasn't there when she was a baby. When she was a baby, yeah, she's observing things around her, but even the little things, like, obviously you can't raise your voice. You shouldn't ever. But as a baby, she might not understand fully that this raising your voice means frustration or aggression or whatnot, or that you're mad. It's just a new sound, and she sort of has to navigate it through. Not, you know, condoning it. I'm not saying it's something you ought to do. I'm just saying there's a difference between being angry at something, or if I'm watching a football game and my team shit the bed on something.
Happens often when you're a Bills fan.
I'm upset, and I'm saying, come on. Like, she, as a baby, might not understand what emotion is that. Like, what is my dad doing?
Or the reason behind it.
Moreover, she probably can't even see me at that young, because her vision.
They can sense tension, or, you know, whatever is the predominant emotion.
She'll pick up on that, and she'll either repeat it or she'll be scared.
Right. She can process it.
So the symbiotic relationship is, I really have to check myself more and more every day.
And pay attention to her reaction.
Yes, because I'm an example for her. Mm-hmm. You are an example for her too. So if I stub my toe, yes, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be like, oh, but I can't over embellish it. Or maybe I'm looking at it today as over embellishing compared to what I used to, because I can't say something in front of my child that I don't want her repeating.
Yeah.
You know, so it's making me have to watch myself with everything I do. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of a difficulty of being a parent. And it's a challenge that I welcome. Don't get me wrong. I love a good challenge, but it is something I have to keep in mind of. And sometimes it slips away. But at the same time, it's something that I have to constantly be aware of, okay, I have two little eyes looking at me, and whether I'm conscious of it or not, it's quite literally a monkey see, monkey do kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she'll just repeat it. Like yesterday, we hung out with our nephews, and our nephews call you Auntie Cece.
Yeah.
What'd she call you today?
This morning.
Auntie Cece.
Yep. She woke up and she was saying Auntie, and I think at first I thought she was remembering hanging out with her aunties yesterday, and she was wearing a pair of pajamas that one of her aunts bought for her, and so she said Auntie, and I said, oh yeah, that's right, and she said Cece. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that kind of leads into my next question. That's a good segue, but let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll dive back in. So you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to just point blank ask you to reflect on what you think your greatest strengths and greatest weaknesses are as a dad.
Wow.
So you've kind of touched on the patience things, like things that you're working on, but what if you had to name one of your greatest strengths and one of your greatest weaknesses or challenges or Areas of opportunity. I want to reflect on that.
I don't know that I have any strengths.
Oh, shut up.
No, I don't. I don't know what would be considered a good... I don't consider myself a bad father, but I don't consider myself a great father.
You're a great dad. What are you talking about?
Because I can always be better. It's sort of like the other thing. Every day
we know.
I
You
ought
always
to,
want to be better.
to improve.
Right, but that doesn't mean you don't have strengths in this moment, that even if you're always trying to build on those strengths, that's great.
I feel really uncomfortable answering that question.
I knew you would.
Yeah. All right.
You want to start with weaknesses?
Yeah.
And then try to make yourself feel better?
I guess we can piggyback on what I just said. I get frustrated with petty things easily, and I need to remind myself not to vocalize that. I need to open myself up to more things. I need to sort of put my own tendencies and inhibitions aside so I can know she's having a fulfilling experience. So this probably won't happen, but I'm sort of second guessing myself whether or not I ought to. I need to find the balance as, okay, yes, you need to do everything that's good for your child. You need to be a good parent. You need to set a good example. You also need to look after yourself. You also need to sort of make sure you're good to go, both mentally and physically, because I've been around this world 34 years. I'm pretty sure I know what I don't and do like, enjoy, and what, I'm capable of doing and what things I should avoid. So for experiences for her, I hate roller coasters, but maybe I should just be saying to myself, I need to do this for her because she'd enjoy it more if I'm there rather than I'm not.
I'm so glad that was recorded.
That's not to say I'm going to do it. I need to find that balance of saying I get sick when I come off of roller coaster. So do I want to be sick around her? What's more important? Being sick and having a terrible day because I'll just constantly be on the verge of yakking, or her having her dad next to her. I need to find that balance. And same thing with the beach. We live in the ocean state. I hate the beach. I hate it. I am so pale. So pale, it's not even funny. I'm whole milk white as a ghost. I do not tan. It's no matter what I put on SPF 50, I burn. I am red, and I go right back to milky cream white. It's awful. But we live in the ocean state, and I know she loves the water right now, so she'll probably really enjoy the beach. Do I suck it up and go and have a terrible time myself? But she knows her dad's there. She can look back on those experiences when she's older and said, my dad had a terrible time, but he went for me.
Yeah. I think you're right about trying to find a balance, especially with the roller coaster example of like, and you don't want to you don't want your fear, like you said, you've had a whole lifetime. You've had a whole lifetime not a whole lifetime. You've had 30 some odd years of time to figure out that that's something that's just not your thing. Right. But you don't want that to hinder her in figuring out what she does.
I would never discourage her from doing it.
But I think that I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm saying it's possible to do that, have those types of anxieties and fears rub off on your kids without you even realizing it. Right. So I think you're right of trying to strike that balance of like, okay, then maybe you go on like the kiddie roller coaster. Well, I don't even know if you can as an adult, but
of course
whatever.
You can. You
go with them. Yeah. So like a smaller ride, and then when she gets older, maybe you tag me in,
when
and I'll go on.
When she doesn't need me anymore, I can say no.
But you can suck it up enough to go on the small rides with her, so that she recognizes that you're there, and there's not a sense of anxiety or fear that she's going to associate with that type of activity. That she's free to go and explore that and figure it out if she likes it for herself or not. And this is a pretty shallow example of roller coasters, but that kind of applies to anything.
Right, and maybe that's definitely something that I'm struggling with, is to remind myself, okay, you don't like it, and I need to find the answer whether or not it's okay that you don't like it, and it's okay that you don't go with her to this. She has mom for this, and it's okay. She's not going to resent you for that. I think that's practical and
I
reasonable
agree.
for me to say. But at the same time, I don't want to not have these sort of experiences and memories with my child. I don't want them to feel lost on her, to say to herself, my dad wasn't there for that.
Yeah.
So I need to find the balance. And maybe that comes with time. As she gets older, I can explain it to her more, saying, hey, this is not really my thing personally, because I know for me, it's just physically, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about strengths now, I guess maybe this is a weakness as well. I don't quit things. No matter what, I don't quit. And like, it doesn't matter what it is. This podcast, my other podcast, fitness, whatever it is, maybe this is something I'm proud of. I don't know, but I've never walked away from anything.
You should be proud of that.
And that is something that I need to pass down to her and carry over and say, when you start something, you don't stop. You do not stop until it's over. And even then, when you feel like it's over, it might not be over. You keep going no matter what. And that is something that I want her to have. Like if she's learning a new skill and she gets frustrated with it and she just quits, which a lot of kids do because they're so frustrated. Any new skill, even adults, when you learn a new skill, you get frustrated with it. You don't want to do it. Don't quit. Don't quit, because I promise you, you're going to be better. And it's kind of like that Tony Horton thing with the pull-ups. It's not that you can't do a pull-up, you just struggle with it right now.
Right.
And that is something that I need for her to sort of adopt in her mentality, is you can do anything, and it's going to suck at first if you're not naturally gifted at it, because chances are, by pure numbers, you're not.
Right.
You're probably not naturally gifted at something, but I promise you, if you keep going with it, it is literally impossible to do something all the time and continue to be just as bad as it the first time. It's impossible. So just keep going. Never quit.
Right. If it's something that means something to her, and
never quit.
Yeah, she's passionate
even if it
about
doesn't.
It
If you've given someone your word on something, see it through. See it through. As long as you're not getting hurt by it, as long as it's not, affecting you in a negative way.
Right. That's where my brain was going, was like, at some point she's also got to take care of her mental health, and you don't want to stay in an unhealthy situation or something.
But
just
if
for the
you've
sake
given
of persistence.
If you've given your friend your word that you're going to help her, and that day you don't feel like it, no, you gave her your word.
Right.
Go help her.
Yeah. In that instance, I'm thinking bigger picture of like, if you're in a relationship that's not.
No, of course.
Like, you don't want to stick with it just because you made a promise to that person.
No.
Yeah, that's a really, that's taking it really far.
I'm saying things that
I understand what you're saying in a very, the simplest sense of the concept that you're describing.
Just trying to be pragmatic.
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
It.
No, it makes sense. So that's your biggest strength?
I think so. I don't know. What's my biggest strength?
What about your sense of humor?
I think
she finds you hilarious. All of the like silly, goofy inside jokes and weird things that we do as a family is.
She already has it.
Yeah, she got it from you.
100%.
Yeah, she definitely got that from you. How goofy and silly she is, and you guys just feed off each other, and it's like you're just so weird, and it's together. You guys are such weirdos, and it's awesome.
Yeah, she has it. I think. I don't know. I don't know how hereditary things are in terms of personality traits. I'd like to think that some of them, or even most of them, are kind of learned behaviors.
Yeah, and I think she's observed you over the last 2 years.
That's
and
possible.
Even how we are together. I mean, your goofiness has rubbed off on me too, and we act like weirdos together as well.
Well, she definitely has my dance moves, or lack thereof.
Yeah, she does. As hard as I'm trying with the ballet classes and everything, she still dances like you.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awfully good.
It's so bad. All right. So given that reflection on where you are with your strengths and weaknesses and some of the things that you think that you want to try to improve on, what are you most nervous about? Like, so we kind of looked back. We talked about where you are now with your strengths and weaknesses. And now what are you most nervous for in the future, at any point in raising her, from now when she's 2 to when she's,
I'm not worried about anything.
teenager or
Not worried about anything. A lot of people say bullying. To me, maybe this is speaking out of ignorance. It's going to happen.
Mhm.
It happens to everybody. It's up to us to sort of reinforce her to have the courage to remain herself, to remind her that the person she is good enough. She's not anything negative that people say that she is without merit. It's up to us. And that is why I have confidence with her moving forward, because I have confidence in you and I. And as long as it's up to us, I think she's going to be okay. It doesn't matter what she does. I don't care what she does when it comes to her passions. Chase them. And I'll follow them with her until the end. I'll be right there with her. That I am not worried about anything. A lot of people, like, you get the stereotypical, and I'm going to get like socio-political here, but people are like, oh, what if she's gay? Then she's gay. Like,
well, yeah, we're
whatever.
not worried about anything.
What
like
if
that.
she's trans? Then she's trans. Like,
Right.
whatever. I don't care. Like, I shouldn't say that. I care because I care about her. But it
doesn't change anything. Yeah.
Not at all. Like, I don't have a preference as to what she is other than be yourself and be happy.
Right.
That's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we constantly reinforce that, all we want you to be is happy. All we want you to do is do what you love, no matter what it is. You want to go to college for basket weaving because you love it? Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go and be the best, because you can be. Be the best. Chase it because I know you can do it. That's all. I'm not worried about anything. People are constantly worry about the boys. Not worried about it. You want it's largely because of your dad that
Yeah.
I'm not worried about boys, because the way your dad handled me, I was very much inclined to be like, I need to respect this man, because he was so forthcoming with me, so casual, so nice and welcoming and joking, did not give me a, you better take care of her, didn't reprimand me, nothing. Talked to me like a peer.
He gave you his trust up front. He didn't make you earn it.
Yes, he
And
talked
so you
to me
felt
like
you,
a peer.
Right. That motivated you to maintain his trust because
Yes.
it was given to you outright from the get-go.
And I respect that. And I feel that, and maybe this is true before with stereotypical dads with their daughters, they're like, trying to be the alpha in the situation, right? Trying to puff out their chest and be like, don't you touch my daughter.
Well, you said, you felt that way the first time you held her.
Yes, but I'm saying if someone hurts you.
Right.
But when it comes to girlfriends and stuff, for me in the past, I feel like maybe it's because I was a teenager, but my rebellious side was like, screw this guy, whatever. Like, I don't respect this man. How dare you come at me like that?
Yeah.
But with your dad, it was like, I need to make sure I'm taking care of his daughter. I need to make sure I'm not crossing lines, because this is straight up, not that my ex-girlfriend's fathers weren't, but straight up, I immediately got the sense this is a good man. This is a good person. And I need to respect this man. Bringing it back when it comes to my daughter possibly dating, boys, I feel that that's a good example for me to act towards them. Just not be threatening, not be the alpha. Have that sense of, hey man, like, what's going on? What's your name? Tell me about yourself. Be open and welcoming and have a conversation with the person without trying to scare them.
Yeah, give them the benefit of the doubt.
And I think my daughter will reciprocate that with appreciation. Be like, I got to make sure I'm not misusing this trust. I hope so. Maybe that's just me being naive.
We talked about that on the Past Selves episode about, I feel like that was kind of my parents' general like parenting strategy, was to give trust up front, and it was kind of this feedback loop.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that was effective. I think for me growing up, it sounds like it was effective in it, the way that my parents approached you and my dad in particular. So I agree. I
remember when I first took you out, we were in the kitchen in your house, and he was just like, where are you going? Oh, we're going to Framingham, Massachusetts to go to this restaurant. Why are you going to Framingham? Well, my buddy goes, he's like, all right, cool. Well, be safe, and if you can have her back. I forget what time it was. And I was like, yeah, no problem.
Yep.
That was it.
Drive safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly what they were concerned about, was just basic safety.
You make sure she's back here.
Right.
It wasn't threatening. It was just, I obviously expect a father to want to know where I'm taking his daughter. Obviously, that goes without saying. But it wasn't threatening. And that is sort of an example that I sort of want to pass on.
Yep.
Really quick wrap up of that question. I'm not worried about anything.
That's good. You can balance out my anxiety.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap things up, we wanted to go back to the dad joke competition that we posted on our social media
on the Facebook
pages. Yep. And the most responses we got were on Facebook, and shockingly, most of the responses were from my dad, the king of the dad jokes. He just couldn't stop himself. Once he started, he was on a roll. And it was funny because he posted a few like in quick succession, and then it was like, 19 hours or something went by. Like, you can see the timestamp of when the comment was left. And he was like, I could just imagine that he woke up at like 3 a.m. and was like, oh shit, I got a good one. And he added another to the list. So it was really good. So,
I posted one too.
You did. You got the ball rolling with the one you posted. You want to read it?
Yeah. I said, my wife left a note on the fridge that said, it's not working. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to my mom's. I opened the fridge door. Light came on. Beer was cold. What the hell did she mean? Yeah. Come on now.
Yeah, that one was good. So did any, let's see. I had an old friend of mine who posted one. She's not a dad, but she
has
she
a
got
dad
this
joke.
one. She got a great dad joke. I don't know where she got this. She said, yesterday I ate a clock. It was very time consuming, especially when I went back for seconds.
So that's like a double dad
It was
joke.
a double whammy.
Yeah.
Well played.
It was good because she sort of spaced it out. And
Yeah. It was good.
my friend posted on the Instagram, why did the melons get married? Because they cantaloupe.
It's another good one.
Yeah. Well done, sir.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pick a winner. All right. So my dad posted like 5 or 6. I think, all right. So my favorite, I'm just going to show you, was this one. I want to save that one for last.
All right.
So go ahead. You want to read a different one?
My wife likes to talk during sex, so she calls me the other night.
All right. Another one.
I think mountains are pretty funny. In fact, they're hill areas.
That is one I can attest. He has told that one in person.
Hill areas.
Hilarious. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a fact. Everyone puts on their left shoe last. When you put one shoe on, you have one left.
Got a new job at the guillotine factory. I'll be heading there shortly. Beheading is one word.
One word. I read that to you last night. It took him a second. It's easier when you read it because you see how beheading is spelled.
Go ahead.
That was a good one. So my favorite, this is the last one. When I'm cold, I'll stand in a corner where it's always 90 degrees. I love that one because it's so simple, but it's just like the perfect dad joke of being lame and funny at the same time.
My buddy at work texted me. He said, it's over. It's over. The competition's over because of that joke.
Because of the corner one?
He's like, it's over.
It's great.
It's done.
And of course, a couple of other dad-isms that my dad is famous for is whenever he's helping us with something around the house and he's got to hang something on the wall and he whips out the handy-dandy stud finder, he, without fail, every time points it at himself and says,
yep,
found one.
It's working.
It's working.
I just want to know, when does, and this goes out to all the older than me dads out there, older than I am, when does it become second nature to wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to wear khakis and this polo, but today I'm just going to tuck it in and forever from now on. And this t-shirt, tucking them in forever from now on. And you know what? A belt, a phone belt thing, clip yep, pouch. Sounds kind of fucking badass. I'm doing that. And mustache. Yep.
My dad always had a mustache.
No, when does this happen? Because your dad kind of fits the bill. No offense at all. Your dad fits the bill with
it's
all
great.
of those, but like so do other dads that are in that demographic. When does tucking in your shirt become the thing? If I don't have to, I've never tucked in my shirt. If there's something that it's not a formal thing, I never walked out of my house with my t-shirt tucked in.
Yeah. Right.
When
it's formal wear is one thing, or like even business, like, you know, that's one thing. But your t-shirt or a polo.
On a Sunday. Rocking jeans, I'm tucking in my t-shirt.
And of course, your dad shoes.
Oh, okay.
Complete the ensemble.
Complete new level.
So maybe that's where it starts. Maybe it's gradual.
It just creeps up.
You're on, you've entered.
Like hand, foot, and mouth. It starts in your feet.
It starts at the feet.
It just goes all the way up to your face.
Yep.
And that's the mustache.
Yep. You might be on that escalator. You don't even know yet.
Listen, I just don't understand. But look, don't knock the dad shoes, because there was I think Complex did an article where they visited the Nike factory, and the guy doing the interview said, "Give me your most comfortable shoe ever." And the Nike guy was, Are you sure? Yep. Give me the most comfortable shoe you own. Okay. And it's the Nike Air Monarch. He's like, these look hideous. They are dad shoes. But when someone puts them on, it's over.
Yeah.
And that is a fact. I'm telling you, it's a fact. If you are a dad and you do not rock Nike Air Monarchs, I don't care the color does matter. I'll explain in a minute. If you do not rock them, you're missing out. I'm telling you, they're comfortable as fuck. Here's the thing, though. If you're a new dad, you have to start off with just the white ones. You got to get them grass stained. That's your white belt. Like in karate, that is what you start with. If you try to go in there and get the black, white, and red ones, they're going to say, "Excuse me, how many kids do you have? How long have you been a dad? A month? That's cute. Here are the white ones. You start with these." You work your way up gradually. When you're a granddad, that's when you get the white, black, and red ones, because you've gone through your challenges as a dad, and now you have to redo them as a granddad. So you need the extra support and the extra bling on your feet. My mom actually just got me the gray and green ones, and it's a nice balance of dad shoes, but with a little bit of like modernism to them.
And now you can wear those and you'll match your Oscar shirt.
There you go.
So we won't have that situation we had this morning ever happen again.
But I'm telling you, usually when I get shoes, especially white shoes, I'm sort of a nerd when it comes to shoes. I don't like to get them grass stained. When it comes to the Nike Air Monarchs all white, I wait for them to get grass stains.
That's the goal.
I did it.
That's the look.
Goddamn
That's
right.
what you're going for. Well, this was great. Thanks for being a good sport and answering those questions on the fly. I know a few of them were a little hard. So next week, I think we're gonna talk about we're gonna try not to kill each other and talk about pet peeves.
You want to do pet peeves?
I think that's so we'll see how that goes.
Well, let's set up the docket. Next week we can do pet peeves, and the following week I want to do toxic masculinity.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, so if I don't kill you during pet peeves, it'll happen that week.
So let's make this fun. Let's start there. When it comes to pet peeves, if you would like to share your pet peeve when it comes to your spouse or whatever, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I think we should do both. I think we could do pet peeves just like in general, like our public pet peeves of other people in society.
Does not mean stop.
Yeah. Things like that. Or and then maybe we should do a little bit about with each other within our relationship.
All right. So if you want to share yours on the social media, you can feel free to do so. Doesn't matter which one. And we won't mention your name in fear that maybe your partner's listening to the show too, and you're like, you put that shit out there. We'll keep it anonymous.
Yep, that works. That'll be fun. So thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, if you want to find us on our social medias, you can do so on facebook.com/whileshe'snapping. If you want to find us on Twitter, it's @she'snappingpod. If you want to visit the website, it's whileshe'snapping.com, where all the episodes are. If you want to follow us on the Instagram, it's @whileshe'snapping. And here we go, some familiarity, some anonymity.
Shut up.
If you want to email us, you can at
whileshe'snapping@gmail.com.
Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and if you haven't done that and can't do that, give it to us on the Facebook page. And until next week, we'll see you soon.
Bye.